This video is sponsored by DecalWorks, offering 10% off all graphics to retail customers. Use the promo code RX10 at decalmx.com to receive 10% off your graphics.
Howdy, boys and girls. Welcome to another Racer X Garage Build. I am Chris Keefer, and we are at the oldest track in Southern California, Paris Raceway, with the latest garage build. Obviously, near and dear to my heart, it is my kids' 2022 KX250 Loretta Lynn's build. So I thought, why not? Let's talk about this bike, all of the stuff that's done to it, and let's put this in the garage build inside Racer X magazine. So right away, I've become an amateur dad. It's a stressful life. For those of you that are not into the sport, I'm not a mini dad, not your typical mini dad, but when it comes to B-class racing, you got to have somewhat of a fast bike to be considered a top kid in this whole thing called racing right now. So Aden has been on a stock bike for quite some time. This is one of the first two bikes that he has built for him. So we called upon Jamie at Twisted Development and Pro Circuit. Aden has a Team Green deal for 2022. So we decided to build a specific bike for Loretta Lynn's, which has passed now, and we'll talk about that more later. But what's involved in this bike is eccentric and pretty mellow at the same time. If you look at the bike, it's pretty to look at, but it's not too blingy. So all the bling is on the inside, and of course we'll pan into this new electronic water pump that's all the rage right now for 250Fs. But up front right now we have Pro Circuit. Mitch and the guys over there went to work on suspension. We went out with him a couple days and got a valving spec for Aden. Aden weighs about 135 pounds. He's getting taller, he's growing, but he's not getting any wider. As you guys know, I call it DNR. You guys can figure that out on your own. But so Luke over there at Pro Circuit revalved it, resprung it for Aden's weight. The KYB in stock form on the KX250 is a little bit oversprung for Aden's weight. So a little bit different spring rate and valving for Aden, as well as the shock. We do use the Pro Circuit linkage. We go back and forth, but the Pro Circuit linkage mated to the shock does help acceleration, traction, and balance off throttle, which you will see inside this video and watch it Aden riding. So Pro Circuit handles the suspension portion of this, as well as some parts on the bike. We use their shifter because the KX250 shifter tip always seems to get packed with mud and bent. The Pro Circuit shifter does not do that. We also use ARC levers, which are a little bit fatter. Aden doesn't like the skinny blade of the KX250. So ARC sells their levers through Pro Circuit, and they have different shapes. Bob over there is a wizard. He's a mad scientist, and he has all different kinds of things to make you happy in the lever realm. So Pro Taper SX Race bars, Evo bar, which helps with flex and comfort, and just gives the rider a little bit more room in the cockpit. It is nice on this bike that you can adjust the pegs, you can adjust the bar forward or back. So Aden prefers the stock position and the stock position on the pegs. We do use flow pegs. They're titanium pegs, a little bit sharper, and just get a little bit more grip. Now the fun stuff. Obviously Pro Circuit Tie 6 muffler system. I would say I've used a lot of systems on the KX250. No surprise there. Pro Circuit does a great job with the Kawasaki, obviously being with the team and all. Inside this thing, Jamie tore it all apart. Sano Metal Finishing did all the Cerakote pieces on this, which looks really good. That's the blingy portion of it. But inside, we have a J&E piston. We have a stock cam that is redegreed for a little bit more torque. And also, we have crank balancing. That is important on a KX250 to get the crank balanced and just get a little bit less vibration from this engine as you're building it. Obviously, Jamie ported and polished this head. He put bigger valves in it because, as these kids nowadays, they rev the crap out of their engines. For some reason, they think they're Barsha, and the durability goes down because all they do is rev it in the air. I'm sure you'll hear it in this video. I try to tell Aden to chill out on that. He doesn't listen. So guess what? I got to spend more money and put bigger valves in it. So that is a must when you go racing. Then the really cool part that you think would not have a horsepower advantage is the electronic water pump. So you're getting rid of the propeller, you're getting less friction, so the bike now feels a lot freer with electronic water pump. And this thing likes to overheat as the kids rev it if you're in deep conditions like Loretta Lynn. So with this electronic water pump, it cools the engine down further. You're building more heat because you're building more horsepower. We went up on to a 1.8 radiator cap to help that situation. But this electronic water pump really frees up the engine and just makes the bike have less engine braking, really free feeling, spools up really quick, and gets the power really exciting. So for me, Aden needed more torque out of this bike. Jamie got that for him. I've ridden 250s, I don't know, the past 4 or 5 months, and this bike has so much more bottom end than the standard bike, it's ridiculous. We take the insert out on the Pro Circuit pipe, if you guys are wondering what to do there. In amateur racing, there's no sound regulation, so just rip that insert out and it helps it open up more. This bike doesn't really like back pressure, especially when you're building it, so you can take that insert out. But overall for me, we can talk more about this after you see the video of Aden riding, but man, this bike has a lot of torque feel, a lot of pulling power out of corner, and makes it more third gear friendly for us old guys. Kids, they're gonna rev it out in second, so it doesn't really matter for them because they're gonna use second gear, but for us old guys, it really does help using third gear. And we're doing the Jody Weisel here over at MXA. We're going 1 tooth up on the rear sprocket, so that does help that third gear transition. And last but not least, people are wondering, hey, what ECU are you guys running? All we do is remap the stock ECU. Jamie has some maps for this bike in stock form and in modified form. So we tried a Vortex. We didn't notice that huge of a difference, and we like how clean the stock ECU ran. So we are running a remapped stock ECU. So again, lots of cool things inside the engine. And of course, we got Decal Works graphics, guts rib seat, and it looks cool. It has a little shimmer to it, but it's not overly done. So I thought it looks great. And we'll talk about Loretta Lynn's and how Aden did right when we come back. Stay tuned. All right, guys, how's it going? We are back. Now that you saw this guy next to me ride this motorcycle, I'm going to tell you what I think about what Jamie and Pro Circuit did to this engine. So if you're coming off of a stock bike, you know what a stock KX250 feels like. There is just a lot more meat. And when I say meat, I mean torque. There is a lot more torque coming out of corners. If you are a third gear rolling out of the corner kind of rider, this recovery has been cut in half. So it's immediate. You can fan the clutch and you're back in the meat of the power ASAP. What I do like, it accelerates really hard out of the corner, which he will need. He's only 135 pounds, but in this class, these kids, man, they are aggressive, and you need to be on the gas very hard out of corners very early to be able to make up time or to be able to pull away. So in the world of amateur racing, I would say this whole claim gate thing, and we're not going to revisit this whole thing right now, but the $17,000 claim rule, I feel like, is on the soft side of things nowadays. That claim rule is very old. That price is very old. And this bike, with the MSRP and the mods done, is very, very close to that. So with this bike, I say that claim rule is probably pretty good. If someone wanted to claim your bike, Aden, for $17,000, you know, I think they're right on the money here. But as you guys know, you go to more expensive motorcycles, and it goes up $20,000, $25,000. There's a lot better motorcycles, I don't say better, a lot more built B-class motorcycles on the line versus this. I tried to give Jamie a little advice before he built this bike, and we talked about what we did to the engine on top of the show right here, but he doesn't need all the power right away. I do not want to give him everything right now. I feel like he needs to earn more things, and we'll try to add on to his build as he gets better. Obviously, we're not on A-kit suspension. I don't think he needs that. We rode Ryder DiFrancesco's, or Sesco's, right? Ryder DiFrancesco? You don't know. Ryder DiFrancesco's bike, and that is very, very fast and stiff. So I just don't think he's at that level to actually have that bike reward him. So we're still on KYB stuff. We have an engine package that is much better than stock, but not at the top level. So with that being said, Aden, you've ridden this at Loretta's. You crashed this at Loretta's. But compared to your stock practice bike, where does this thing rank? How does it, pull out of corners, and what it's like to ride for the people at home?
Well, obviously, I honestly think it's one of the, if not the funnest bike to ride that I have ever ridden, to be honest with you.
And to paint that picture, we have built him modified Hondas, modified KTMs. Last KTM we had was an XPR KTM that was built, and then Jamie at Twisted built him a old 2020 CRF 250R, which was really good, but I think this is just a lot easier to ride.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to ride, a little more smoother power. Not a whole lot of bottom end either, which is what I like. I can ride it harder like that.
But more bottom end than your stock one.
Yeah, way more bottom end than my stock one. Basically, the whole motor itself is way better than the stock one, I'm going to say that. Mid to top, it doesn't fall on its face like my stock one does, and the bottom end is super, it has a lot of bottom end, but it's controllable. It's not a whole lot.
And I guess in the world of testing, what we call that is connection. So rear wheel connection. You can have a lot of torque feel and bottom end, but have a lot of connection, which makes it easier to ride. What I don't like in a 250 is a very jumpy, responsive bike that gets upset in corners, or as he gets tired, what's in all of us that ride dirt bikes, it's inevitable. We're all going to get tired riding a dirt bike. If you guys want to learn how to ride a dirt bike fast, learn how to ride tired, because we're all going to get tired when we go do a moto. And don't think that you're never just going to not be tired. So you need to learn how to ride a bike tired, which means you need to have an engine package that you're able to handle when you get tired. You were tired at Loretta's.
Loretta's was a complete
crap show.
It was not good. We'll just forget about it.
But decent starts at times. Racecraft wasn't great. But your bike itself, going back to East Coast, and everyone here on the show likes to say, hey, I live in soft dirt. It's not the West Coast. You guys are at Paris. It's hard pack. So going to Loretta's, how does this bike work compared to out here?
Well, out here, I actually had to tune the bike down because it was so fast. So I had to tune it down. But then once we got to Loretta's practice day, I was very happy with the decision that I made. A little easier to ride, but it still had that snap to get me out of that East Coast soft dirt, out of those ruts.
Okay, so last question for you, and then we'll just wrap it up. But Jamie did a lot of work to this engine. Everybody that you can go to racerxonline.com, just below this video, you can see all the parts listed. You can read the publication as well. But in the realm, he could have done a lot more to your engine. But this is what he felt that you needed, that he wanted to build to have you hold on. Would you recommend this bike for a kid that really wants to go fast in the B class?
It depends on, so you're saying like the average B kid like me?
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes, and the reason that is because it's easy to ride, it handles really good, and it's not a whole lot of bike for the average B rider, which honestly, at times, I wish I had a little bit more, but then when I get tired, I kind of
it's too much.
It's too much, yeah. So
he's right in between that, I need more, it's too much, so I feel like that is the correct engine package.
Yeah, you rather have, yeah.
You could work your way into this engine.
Yeah, you can have, even with ECU, we did some ECU testing at before we left, and I had to tone it down because it was so fast.
So, talk about your cockpit. You're on stock height pegs. You're on a stock bar mount, but you like this bar.
Yeah.
It's flatter. You're at 5'10".
Yeah, about 5'9", 5'10", right in there.
So your cockpit area is pretty stock, and overall you've ridden Hondas, KTMs, you've done a lot of testing here on Yamaha's, the ergonomics of this bike.
Honestly, I feel like if I had to go with top 3 brands with ergonomics, it would be probably Honda, Cowie, and then KTM. It kind of feels like a Honda in ways, but not as, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Not as compact.
Not as compact, yeah.
So it's a little bit spread out for him. As he gets older and he's getting bigger, he's stretching out, so you'll be able to grow into this bike. And that's the key thing, what I want to do as far as building an amateur bike for him to go racing. I want him to be able to grow in this bike. Look, if you're going to go race amateur racing with your kids, you doesn't need to have all of this stuff to have a good time. I can give Aden a stock bike with a pipe and some suspension, and most likely he's going to do the same, regardless if he has this or that. But I'm trying to give him a little bit of an advantage, so of course, as parents, we want them to have more than we did. I had none of this stuff growing up, so thank you to Pro Circuit and Twisted for building Aden an excellent bike. I would ride this, and I'm 170 pounds, so it has enough meat for me. So, Aden, now we're going to Combine, and you're going to ride B-Class again next year. Are we going to stay on the motorcycle? You just got your driver's license. We're going to stay away from girls. We're going to keep the focus, correct?
Yes, we are. We're going to try to, at least.
We got to keep our kids in line, folks. Give them something to do. So this dirt bike keeps them out of trouble. So keep kids on dirt bikes. Thank you for joining us. If you guys want to subscribe to racerxonline.com, you just did. Ha ha! But seriously, we have a publication that's $30, 12 issues, and there's a lot of stuff in there that you can't get here on racerxonline.com. So thank you to all the people involved in this bike: Pro Taper, Decal Works, Guts Racing, Pro Circuit, Twisted Development, FXR 60, 100% Alpine Star, and your little M-Claw guys that help you. So Team Green, the little thumbs up. No, the thumbs up is this. That's the Team Green sign.
This is my way.
See you on the next go-around. See ya.